you're going to join a group of people known as the Pinellas County Volunteers.
And these new volunteers were strangers until today. This is the starting point, the volunteer orientation, where longtime volunteer Dan Shannon gives a hearty welcome to these newcomers as he shares information they need to know.
Actually, it's every time I do a volunteer session, whether it's at Fort DeSoto Park, whether it's Animal Services, whether it's here at Heritage, it's like doing it for the very, very first time, because the group that comes to me or comes to the volunteer team, they're coming for their first time.
Dan started volunteering with Pinellas County in 2002 after his retirement from 37 years as a teacher and counselor. But volunteering has been a part of his life for most of his life.
The volunteering was sort of in my blood early on. I tell the story to the volunteers that as a young boy I was an orphan, and that had a very big impact on how I was viewed and how people were so good to me as I was growing up. And that was a big part of the motivation.
And after years of giving back, Dan discovered that volunteering gave him something too.
Giving back has always been there for me, but there was another aspect to volunteering. At one point I had some coronary problems of my own, and I realized at that time that I was getting a little over anxious about my own health. And I thought one really good way to deal with this is to get out of my own head, get out of my own skin, and go somewhere where you can focus on something that you enjoy doing that is not personally involved with your own emotions.
With almost 200 new volunteers this year, Dan has been very busy in his role as a volunteer facilitator.
We get a lot of retired people who are looking for outlets for their various interests, their own interests, as well as the gifts that they've developed over their lifetime. Whether it would be computer service, whether camera people like yourself, people who like their hobbies and can extend that to a volunteer experience.
And I'm the camera person Dan is referring to. I'm a volunteer reporter and writer for PCC-TV, and I too sat in the old schoolhouse at Heritage Village 9 months ago for my volunteer orientation with Dan.
The wonderful thing is that people come to us from all over the country, and I like to ask them, is there anyone here from out of state? Where are you from? What were you doing back in Michigan or wherever? And to draw out what the gifts are that they're bringing to the county, and it's amazing.
This year, Dan also carries the new title of editor of the Volunteer Voice, the Pinellas County Volunteer Newsletter, and Dan is calling this his best volunteering year yet, but it's clear that Dan gives his best every year to Pinellas County. I'm Harriet Rudick for Inside Pinellas.